Hey guys, welcome back to my channel where we talk about wisdom and spiritual concepts to live our best life. And I thought I'll take this time today to talk about a conference that I went to. And I actually went to see Deepak Chopra the other week in Sydney. It was an amazing night. And for those of you who may not know about Deepak Chopra, and Deepak Chopra, by the way, is prolific in this space. He's, been interviewed by Oprah. He's written so many books. I think the number is 96. And I came across his works because I think it's really hard not to come across his work if you're on this path to understanding more about your inner world and spirituality. You'll eventually come across Deepak Chopra. And I have to say, with what I've read so far, his works, his body of work is just astounding. And his perspective and his insight is just beautifully articulated in his books and in his talk in particular about living an awakened life. It was really insightful, illuminating, and I just want to share with you what I got out of that conference. So let's get into it. What is reality, first and foremost? Becoming a meta-human, according to Deepak Chopra. And what is the impact on health if we adopt a meta-human perspective? So let's get right into it. The first thing we'll talk about is understanding reality. So much of the night was spent on explaining what reality is. And I think this is a really important concept for us to really get a grip on, because depending on how you view reality is how you will see health and how it manifests. So I think that is why Deepak Chopra went to great lengths to really spend a lot of time explaining what reality is. And according to Deepak, reality can be split into two life views. So the first being the direct method. What is the direct method? Well, it's basically how we traditionally view reality, which is through our five senses. So seeing, hearing, smelling, touch, taste, etc. So anything that is through your bodily senses, that is your direct method of perceiving reality. And as well as your senses, there are a few things that he talks about that constitutes the reality seen through the direct method. So these are sensations, images, feelings, and thoughts. So these things are filtered through your senses. You get these thoughts, you get these feelings, and you get these sensations, basically. And then through that, your mind responds to those inputs, and you sort of interpret a reality for yourself through those inputs. He then gently guided us to a different perception of reality, which is meta-reality. And meta-reality is basically pure consciousness. So the state of consciousness before any conditioning. So before the senses, before the thoughts, before the feelings, before the images that come through and that you've interpreted, what was your state before those inputs have come in? And if you take a step back further enough, and that consciousness before conditioning it's just a field of pure potentiality. You're always aware of all the potential, all this creativity that is right in front of you, because you are at that seat of the consciousness where anything is possible. Anything can be created from this space. And from this space, through the power of intention, anything can be birthed from this field of potentiality. This is where if we become conscious creators, we sit at the meta-reality level and we create from our intention and direct it through our attention. And this zoomed out awareness is also really the seed of the self, the seed of the true self, before any beliefs, before any preconditioning, before any limiting beliefs. This is just you at your true self, unfettered, uncontrolled, unconditioned. And this is where you live, and you are very, very close, if not in the seat where you can create anything from this field of potentiality. So it's very contrasting concepts. So we've got reality through the direct method, which is traditionally how we understand reality. I think at least most of us understand reality this way. It's the material world, which we input through our senses. We can touch it, feel it, sense it. We have images, we have thoughts, we have feelings. And then the other reality, which is a much deeper reality, is when you zoom out and move away from the senses. Where you will find yourself is in the field of potentiality. It's in the field of pure consciousness. You are aware of being aware, and from that space, all possibilities can happen. So those are the two main concepts of reality. I hope that made sense for you. I'll definitely put in a summary in the end for you, just so that you can get those two concepts really clear. And I think it presents a very interesting foundation for the rest of the conference to unfold. So he then introduces the meta-human concept, or what it would look like if you lived an awakened life. And basically what a meta-human is someone who actually is operating from the meta-reality. So not someone who is moving through life through traditional understanding of what reality is, the 3D time-space reality, but really from the seat of consciousness, and operating from the pure self, the unconditioned mind. And that is what a meta-human really is, according to Deepak Chopra. At least that's how I've understood it. And for someone who is a meta-human and living in meta-reality, this person can do some of the following things, according to Deepak Chopra. So they develop their spiritual qualities, so loving kindness, compassion, gratitude, joy, operating from equanimity. So really being that just peaceful person who sort of moves through life without reacting to the ups and downs of life. And when I think about that, I think about, the Dalai Lama, I think about Thich Nhat Hanh, or just people who are just really calm, no matter what's going on in life or in the world. It's just someone who's just gliding through life, no matter what. The second thing that a meta-human does is that they go through life without judgment. They don't judge the things that occur. They don't judge others, and they don't judge the self. They just really let things be what it is, without any attachment, without foistering any emotional charge on that event or on that person. So there's absolutely no judgment. There is no good or bad. It just is what is. The next thing a meta-human does is the ability to tune into the wisdom of the body. So I think that's when, how spirituality and health intersect in his talk, is that through this state of being a meta-human and working from meta-reality, you really get to tune into the ultimate infinite intelligence of the body that is always replenishing itself, rejuvenating itself, healing itself without you willing it. And we don't even know how it's happening or how these processes occur. But we do know that something is driving it, a life force, what have you. And this person who is a meta-human can tune into that. And I think the power is, if you can tune into it, then you can almost direct it, will it, even control it. So I think that is a very interesting notion to sort of unpick later on down the track. And the last thing being metacognition. So being able to witness both inner and outer forces, inner and outer processes happening. And it's interesting, like we definitely focus on the outside world and we react from our inner world a lot. But now we're just switching the locus of control, where we are focusing on the inner world, what's happening inside, how are we doing inside, so that we can turn the wheels around, turn the direction of the wheels around, and then everything operates from the inside, and then we can see that reflected back in the outside. So I think that point really resonated with me. And, being an awakened person is really about just being able to tune into yourself and gaining control over your inner self, so that you are in the seat, you are calling the shots in your life, and You know exactly how to direct your life force, your life energy, your spirit, however you want to call it, in the way that you want. And throughout the night, Deepak Chopra did give us some practical tips as to how do we do that? How do we take advantage of, being aware of the inside and the outside world? How do we tune into our wisdom, internal wisdom of the body? How do we not judge anything that occurs? And I think he keeps going back to being aware. Just be aware of how you react. Even if you catch yourself in a negative state or reacting in a way that you think that you shouldn't be reacting to, at least that's awareness. And then through this awareness, do you have a chance to sort of step back and go, okay, instead of that reaction, how do I want to move forward from this? How, for the next time, if something similar comes up, how do I want to react? And that way you start to reinsert some control over your reaction, and then you get closer to becoming a meta-human before the conditioned mind. Okay, so now we'll get into how these concepts impact on health. And throughout the night, it finally became clear why Deepak Chopra spent so much time explaining what reality is and the two concepts. So again, what I've already said before is that depending on how you see reality is how you see health or ill health in some cases. And so if you see reality the traditional way, the time-space reality, the 3D world, that means in the context of health, it's kind of too late. You're already perceiving ill health. You're already seeing the disease. You're already seeing that whatever you're experiencing in the health domain is suboptimum to what you want, and you're reacting to that. And through the interpretation of your senses, you've come to the conclusion that I have this disease, I have this condition. I now have to get myself back into a healing path. So that is one trajectory if you are seeing reality from the direct method, which we talked about earlier. The other flip side is that if you see reality through meta reality, which is pure consciousness, that means you actually have a chance to proactively create health for yourself. Because you remember, when you're zoomed out, you're sitting in the field of potentiality and pure consciousness, and through your intention, you can actually set forth, cast out a path of health, of abundant health, and really create, conditions for yourself that promotes health to the fullest extent possible. I thought that was a very provocative notion, because if you can proactively carve out a path where you're always in good health, you're always experiencing life to the fullest because you're healthy, you're full of energy, you're not stressed out, you're eating well, and you're just basically, your mind is in a good place. Everything is converging to promote this health reality for you. That means you are the one in control. That means you are not reacting to the outside world. And what you're seeing on the outside world is a reflection of what's happening on the inside, which you are directing yourself. And you can prolong your health span in that way. It sounds really good in theory, but I think it's really hard to practice, because it really does ask and demands for a really radical mind shift. And you sort of hear it in the grapevine when someone who has terminal cancer suddenly goes into remission just miraculously. And I think they went through their own mind shift as well, and it's only because they were pushed up against the wall. They had no other choice but to surrender. And I think this night was really about altering your perception on how to see health in general, rather than, here are some tips and tricks to live a better, healthy life. The most important thing that Deepak Chopra wanted us to understand is we need to really shift where we see our reality and operate from that space, so that we can actually set off in the right direction in creating a healthy life on our own terms that will extend our health span to the fullest extent possible. And I think it's a very powerful notion to at least sit with. I think it's a bit hard to digest, perhaps. You know, I would say I'm in pretty good health in general, and I guess I've been maintaining my health through, you know, the usual actions of, you know, eating well-ish, going to the gym somewhat regularly, and just trying to be stress-free most of the time. And but now this is giving me another layer to think about, and it's giving me a key to proactively, through my own agency, think about what does health look like to me, and basically how to create a healthy life that I want, that I can see on my terms. So there you have it, guys. That was my evening with Deepak Chopra in his conference, The Awakened Life. I definitely got a lot out of it, and I shared with you my learnings there, and the main concepts that he went through. I hope you got something out of it, at least some food for thought about what health means to you and what are the best ways to go about maintaining your health. And so if you found this remotely interesting or insightful, please give this a like, give this a thumbs up, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Ciao.